Welcome in and happy Halloween. It's the Arrowhead Addict podcast, Halloween special here on the OG Hour. I'm Patrick Allen, here with you as always, joined by almost the entire crew. We've got the blog father, Adam Best. We've got our best friend in the NFL, the referees, Price Carter. And it looks like we got Patrick Mahomes down there. Looks a little bit like Matt Connor. And Sterling Holmes, who's just... he's too big of a big shot to wear a costume to the Halloween special.
No, I'm just going as a normal guy. I'm just going as a normal guy.
Okay.
Yeah. You can call me Mike.
Mike. I love it.
Mike Smith.
I love it.
I'm just Mike Smith. So
he's a CPA.
No hot takes at all. We're just going to talk very normal, level-headed stuff today. That's the real spookiness. Is if I was just a normal guy, that'd be very spooky.
Yeah. Listen, everybody, this is not typically we're live. We're not live. We're recording this a little bit earlier in the week. We know you'll be out trick or treating with your kids, all that stuff, celebrating Halloween. So
we're not live right now.
We're not live. It's not a live show. Right. So, but sound off in the chat anyway. I want you to make fun of us, make fun of our costumes, make fun of Sterling's lack of a costume, and, have some fun in the chat with each other. So we thought we'd get together. It's always fun when one of our episodes falls on a holiday. And so I thought it would be fun. Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. Why don't we get together and talk a little bit about the scariest Chiefs of all time? So you can take this any way you want and sound off in the chat. Let us know who your scariest Chiefs are. We each nominated one guy or two guys, one who's scary good and one who's scary bad, and we thought we'd have a little bit of fun talking about that. And then you can bring up whatever else you want scary in the Chiefs past. There's a lot of scary from pretty much like 1972 to 2017 for the Kansas City Chiefs, so there's a lot of ground to cover. But how you fellas doing? Who's a big... So Sterling said he's not a Halloween guy. Am I the only big Halloween guy here?
Oh, Halloween's one of my favorite holidays. Here's my thing about this. I think holidays are great whenever they really change what you do. Christmas, you put a tree in your living room. That's very unique. You change what you eat. Halloween's the one time of year that everyone gets into a totally different mood with getting scary. You watch different movies. You put on a mask or a costume. You go door to door, hand candy out to people. It's just so out of our traditional norm. And there's Christmas and Thanksgiving, they kind of have similar vibes of family, happiness, rejoicing. Halloween's just a totally different vibe. And it's a great time of the year, weather-wise here in the Midwest, great weather. So Halloween's one of my all-time faves.
You get to act a fool and nobody can say anything.
So let's talk about the costume.
For hands, Best.
Look at the jersey number. It's 19. I have bricks for hands.
The shiesty is what I love.
Don't ask me to do any typing or any searching. I can't do it.
That's elite. I will say last year I did go as David Bowie. Okay. I typically dress up, but I'm a busy man right now. I don't have time. So I'm just a normal guy. I'm just Mike Smith.
He's taken over Kansas City. Connor, what about you?
TK guys, every day with TK's the holidays. I'm like, holidays. Know what I'm saying, man?
You kind of sound like
me and Miss Piggy. I mean, not Miss Piggy. Me and
Fat Albert. You sound a little Fat Albert in there.
He does sound like that. Can you say hey real quick for us?
Hey.
That's Fat Albert.
That's great. Fat Albert. I love it. What about you, Connor? Are you a Halloween guy?
I just tried to give you a whole answer in character, and you made fun of me. No. Yes.
I don't know if we can keep this up for a full hour.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the game that the Chiefs played on Halloween back in the day when Brandon Flowers was on the team against the Chargers?
I was at that game.
Were you at that game? That was the Andy Studebaker game, right?
Yeah, Andy Studebaker.
All they needed to do was take a knee to run out the clock, but for some reason they tried to run it one more time, and Phillip Rivers fumbled the snap, and Andy Studebaker came out of the pile with it, and the Chiefs ended up winning the game. Hilarious.
I went with a Chargers fan. My guy who got me tickets was a Chargers fan. We had we was in high school. We had school the next day. Felt so bad for him. He had to then wait in the parking lot getting yelled at by adult Chiefs fans. And I'm just like, I can't say a word. I can't like trash talk. I'm like, you got me free tickets. Great seats.
Yeah.
I remember that game very fondly. Monday Night Football too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Memorable game. And remember all the DBs had scream masks. There's like that famous picture of them all with scream masks on the field, like posing. There wasn't a lot to cheer about back then, but that was a fun one. Did you guys know that Andy Studebaker was part of the famous Studebaker family? You didn't know that?
I didn't know that there was famous Studebakers. I'm going to be
like
honest.
The Studebaker, like the car. He's like,
okay, yeah. Okay, I knew.
Oh, he's the car guy. Good for him.
Yeah.
You don't hear that name a lot, so it makes sense.
I was in like third grade in Texas Tech then. I don't know, dude. I'm not old enough to remember these games.
That led to, if you recall, he got tackled before he was able to return the ball all the way. That one time he got the fumble recovery, the interception, and they said the Studebaker has run out of gas. I miss guys like that where we used to remember Jackie Battle, like these weird players who weren't very good, but they became like folk heroes for us.
You pretend that's not Carson Steele.
Well, it is Carson Steele, but it's like a different era. It's a different era now, right? Carson Steele, it's like he's like a fun like side thing for our quest for a three-peat. If this was like 2009, he would be he would be the biggest thing in Kansas City. That's all anybody would care about was Carson Steele.
Yeah, in like 2003, guys were celebrities because they were blocking for Dante Hall on kickoff and punt returns.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, let's talk a little Chiefs here. There's lots of news and all that stuff. We're not going to get in any of that. We'll have that covered on our midweek shows. So for Halloween, let's talk about some players who are scary good and scary bad. Let's start with you, Price. Who was your scary good player?
Well, when you think about a good horror movie character, you got to think about when the moment's right. Scary movies, I'm a huge scary movie guy. It's when they close the medicine cabinet, whenever they open the shower curtain, whenever they close the closet door, the scary guy, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, they're there to get you. So to me, to have a scary chief, it needed to be someone who shows up in the biggest and brightest moments, someone who picks who they hunt down, someone who seems to come through and you never can kill them. They're never out. They're always there. And that is why I went with my scariest Chris Jones. I just gave it away. My scariest chief of all time is Chris Jones. First off, intimidating player, right? Like he is so big and menacing and physical. He chooses his matchups along the defensive line. He walks up, points to whatever the weakest offensive lineman is, and he goes right at them. And he has a knack for showing up in the clutch. He seems to have a ton of game-sealing sacks, game-changing plays, and no play better encapsulate that than his sack to kind of in the Bengals' life in the AFC Championship a couple of years ago. He's a player that no offensive lineman wants to see coming. He's been a lifetime Chief. He's here to stay with the new extension. One of the highest total sack leaders in Chiefs history. So Chris Jones is the scariest Chief of all time for me.
He really is kind of like that slasher character that just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming, and nobody can stop him.
Yeah, and if you're the Chargers trying to stop him from getting the bag with that little bonus of Week 17 last year, he's extra scary. But menacing, You never can kill him. He's always chasing stuff down. Big physical presence like Michael Myers. He's an offensive lineman's worst fear.
You got to figure out how to game plan around him. I love it. Great choice. We'll come back to get your scary bad. Let's switch it up. Let's go to Sterling. Sterling, let's flip the other side of the coin for you. Who's your scary bad Chiefs player?
Well, I didn't want to use bad as in like, oh, this guy was brutal, but I also wanted to have some fun with it. Cam Irving. I'm sorry, Cameron Irving. I actually liked you. Like, I like Cam Irving because he was such a great bodyguard. Like, anytime anyone would throw hands, he was the first guy to come protect someone. I loved Cam Irving in that regard, but he was scary bad because when he was on the field, it meant bad news for the quarterback. It meant that quarterback was probably going to be having a bad time. I feel for you, Cam. I don't mean to take shots at you years after you are no longer in Chiefs Kingdom. And again, you're a scary man, and please don't come after me if you see me at a bar. Please don't. I'd much prefer you to still be on my side here. But I'll go Cam Irving for my oh goodness, please don't put him at tackle. The quarterback's in immediate danger.
He comes from a long line of, the Donald Stevenson school of blocking for the Chiefs. I very seriously consider Donald Stevenson, who is one of my all-time favorite players to hate on the Kansas City Chiefs. Couldn't block anybody. I often used to write articles suggesting that the Chiefs consider signing a road cone instead, because even though the road cone can't move, the defender might get confused or at the very least trip over the road cone on their way to the quarterback, whereas Donald Stevenson was just like a bullfighter out there. Scary stuff. Cam Irving, not great. Anybody have any fond Cam Irving memories?
He was a great hype man. Like, he was always one of the, even when he wasn't starting anymore, he was always one of the first guys like celebrating. He was an all-time hype man. I think Aaron Donald probably remembers him most fondly from that Rams Chiefs game, the 54-51 game. Aaron Donald and him basically wrecked that game for the Chiefs offensively several times.
Yeah. Fun times.
What about, I'm pretty sure it was Cam Irving who stepped on Patrick Mahomes's injured ankle. He hurt it against Jacksonville or something, and then Cam Irving stepped on it and was like,
hey. All right, let's leave poor Cam Irving alone. Is he still in town, by the way? Are you actually worried about running into him at a bar, Sterling?
No, but he's a big guy. He could totally kick my ass.
That's Super Bowl champion Cam Irving to you, Sterling.
No, you're right. That's right. Try to say he is a great hype man. Dude is awesome. Just not necessarily when he's protecting the quarterback.
All right, let's turn it back to the scary good side. Matt Connor, you didn't put anything in the document, so give us your scary good.
I'm getting a little personal here, but I got to go with Brittany. If she ends up pregnant again, we're out of medals. Guys. I don't know if she says another baby is coming along, we're like turning to the periodic table of elements over here. I'm like, strontium, iron, peridontium. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, our kid names are going to get real crazy here if she's pregnant again. That's scary to me. That's all. That's scary good. That's good scary. You know what I'm saying?
All right, man. Give us a player.
I just did all that, and you're still gonna make me talk.
Yeah. We're gonna stick with the theme. Who's your scary good Chiefs player?
I gotta go with my man TK. We got a special connection, best all time. I love Tony G, but he has got nothing on my man Kelsey. And that's as long as I'm going to talk like this. Texan / Kermit / Alberta, Canada /
This is like Daniel Day-Lewis levels of refusing to break character here.
It truly is. It truly is remarkable. The commitment to the bit, method acting.
Yeah. Amazing. So Travis Kelce for Matt Connor / Patrick Mahomes / whatever that is. On scary good. All right, let's go back to scary bad. Adam, you haven't gone yet. Oh God, this one's terrifying.
Hey, if you want to send chills down the spine of any Chiefs fan, there is one name that stands alone.
Don't say it.
I mean, I don't even want to say it here, but we have to. It's Halloween, and that name is Lynn Elliott. It feels creepy saying it, but those of us who remember that day, 3 field goals missed in a 10-7 game in the playoffs, we'll never get over it. We'll never get over it. And he is a horror story that I think Chiefs fans are going to pass down to their kids, their nieces, their nephews, to future generations. And it's going to get scarier and scarier. It's going to be a campfire story for decades to come.
Wait, I think you mean the kicker whose name is right. You're talking about the kicker whose name is
Yeah,
that
he's
one.
right.
That kicker.
He who shall not be named.
What's his name again? It's. Am I wrong?
No, you're exactly right.
Okay.
That's
the closest thing I think we have to Voldemort in the Chiefs Kingdom is that guy. I mean, you bring him up. Adam's right, man. Like I remember watching that game on the sitting on the floor, but we only had 1 second TV. I was just sitting on the floor in my parents' bedroom. They were downstairs watching TV. I hardly ever got to see the Chiefs because I grew up in Ohio, so the regular season games almost were never on.
That's
especially with the
spooky right
blackout
there.
rules
Growing up in
back then.
Ohio.
Yeah, I know, terrifying. So I was so excited anytime the Chiefs were in the playoffs because I got to see the whole game, and I just that was really one of my first moments of understanding just how painful sports could be. Just an absolutely frustrating, brutal, maddening situation. Much like last night, not last night for you listening, but Sunday, the Bears and that Hail Mary with the Commanders. I was watching that and I was like, this is this is the kind of crap that used to happen to the Chiefs. That it was just like, we're cursed and it doesn't matter. And we're going to find some ridiculous way to lose. And I feel like that's the Bears. They're the new Chiefs.
Mariota passing to himself, right?
Yeah. Preposterous situation that should never have happened. But of course it happens to Kansas City. That game where the Colts came back against the Chiefs and we had that massive lead in the playoffs. That was the day of my father-in-law's retirement party. And we were here in Chicago. We didn't live here yet. We still lived in New York. And we were at a bar and it was just down the street from where the retirement dinner was going to be. And I was like, I want to catch the Chiefs game, playoff game. And and we were going to head over. And there were these guys sitting there. It was not a popular bar. They were like probably the only other people in there. And I'm, in my Chiefs jersey, and we're watching the game. And these guys are like, the whole time they're like, oh man, you're good. You guys got this. And then they started clawing their way back. And I got down bad and I got down bad fast. And these guys were like, oh man, don't worry. You still have like a 3 touchdown lead or whatever. I was like, you guys don't understand. Like it's the Chiefs, it's the playoffs. A guy's got a bad feeling. And I'll never forget walking out of that place and walking by that table, complete strangers, college age bros. They just like looked at me and they were like kind of all like looking down when I walked by and they were like mumbling like, sorry, man. Sorry. Cause they were trying to gas me up the whole game. I mean, you want to talk about scary moments in Chiefs history. That one's up there for me of like, oh, we got Andy Reid. We're finally going to be good. And then it was just like, it all came rushing back. I never thought we were going to win anything after that.
By the way, what are you? What's your costume?
I'm a skunk.
All I could think about during that was like you are wearing.
Look.
Oh, it's a skunk.
Skunk. Got the tail. Oh. Right? As Adam put it earlier, I'm the 2023 Chiefs receiving corps.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Or Wanye versus the Raiders. Another option.
Or when the Chiefs receivers never scored a touchdown, they got skunked the entire year.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Or what about the year we had like 10 sacks? Remember that year?
That was scary.
Ooh, it's very scary. Is there a rating system on YouTube, producer Richard, that we can like make sure that no kids come across this episode? Oh, let me know. All right. Let's get back to it. Let's do me. I haven't gone yet. I'll do a scary good here. And it is one Mr. Jamal Charles. During a very dark and scary time to be a Chiefs fan, thank God for Jamal Charles. If you were an opposing defense, the thing that was the most remarkable about Jamal Charles for me as a fan was the fact that he was as great as he was when there was literally nothing else you had to worry about if you were an opposing defense. You're playing the Chiefs. They couldn't block. The line was terrible. And the quarterbacks weren't good. So you're going into a game and you're like, yeah, all we've got to do is stop the run. And Jamal Charles would still just absolutely shred teams. And sometimes actually helping the Chiefs win games. Sometimes like in the playoffs against the Ravens, he did all he could do. The rest of the team just wasn't good enough. But when they were going up against teams that probably were more talented than them, but that, like, remember what he did to the Raiders that one game? Just absolutely annihilated them over and over. It was like the same play they kept calling.
What about what he did to the Legion of Boom, man?
Yeah. He's I think, as a defender or an opposing defense, the scariest possible player I can think about when playing the Kansas City Chiefs outside of Patrick Mahomes. He was just insanely dominant, and he didn't even get, like, I don't know. He could have had, that season Todd Haley was obsessed with Thomas Jones and starting Thomas Jones. Like, do you know what would have happened if he just actually treated Jamal like the starter and just gave, Thomas Jones the occasional carry? He might have had the single greatest season any running back has ever had, because he was at the peak of his powers then. And Todd Haley, talk about scary moments of Chiefs history. How about Todd Haley coming in, not fully utilizing Jamal Charles and benching Derek Johnson for an entire season? We just lost an entire season of Derek Johnson because Todd Haley was an idiot. And then he offended Brian Waters. He could have made the list. We should have done coaches as well.
Bro, Derek Johnson was a big nothing burger before Haley arrived. I mean, he was. He was fine, but yeah, remember he benched him to Derek Johnson never made a Pro Bowl, nothing until after. DJ kind of hates that because he knows that it put the fire. He knows he put the fire in him, but.
Are you giving Todd Haley credit for Derek Johnson being good?
There's a before and after there for sure. I don't think he had to bench him for a whole season, but
the tough love worked, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it did in that instance. Todd knew what he was doing there.
I don't agree with that at all.
A broken clock is right 2 times a day, right?
Derek Johnson was a good player before that. He was not living up to the potential that I think everybody thought that he had, but I am not crediting Todd Haley benching Derek Johnson for an entire season. The talent was there. I don't buy it, man. He was a good player. He would have continued to be good. All we did was lose a year of production from him, and he probably would have been reached his pinnacle sooner. That is not like a coaching strategy, benching your best player, one of your best players, for an entire year.
Well, he still played. It wasn't like a season or two into his career too. It was like a few. It was like, hey, you're never going to make the leap unless you do this. And the story's out there. I mean, yeah, it's like a notable thing. Yeah,
I'm more on Matt Connor's side actually, because there was a whole thing about this. Like, he did it all of a sudden after that season take off. So.
Yeah, but the causation and correlation. Like, I want to hear from Price on this. Maybe I'm in the minority here. I think it was insane to bench him.
Well, I was full disclosure, I was 10 during the Todd Haley era. So my thoughts, my thoughts on this were mainly related to what action figure I was getting. But I will say, I do think that sometimes players and talent and opportunity, those type of things, player development's not, we think of it as linear, right? They're like, oh, this guy gets better. He gets better every step of the way. Sometimes players got to take a step back to take a step forward. And I think sometimes even the worst coaching staffs can't have things that resonate with people. A lot of times with coaches, it's not necessarily whether you are a true or false, good or bad coach. It's what resonates with you. We all learn in different ways. Kinesthetic, visual, audio. We all learn in different ways. So maybe there's a chance that Todd Haley was able to reach Derek Johnson in a certain way that other coaches might not have. And it just didn't come to full realization until after that period had left. So these are my Derek Johnson thoughts. Good
this
player,
is like
though.
a political ad for Todd Haley. This message has been brought to you by the people for Todd Haley.
That was my big pin. It's almost election season. That was my best answering without actually answering anything.
It is.
You did great.
I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I think you would have been coach him. Your job's to coach.
Haley was in his fifth season. 4 full years of starting. He was 27, not 22 or 3. He was kind of just a middling linebacker. And then he gets benched. He started 3 games that year. He put up decent stats off the bench. It lit a fire. And from there, he goes on to play another, 9-10 years, made several Pro Bowls. Now he's a Hall of Famer. It was for sure like a, bro, if you're ever going to live up to it, it's now or never. And he turned it on, man. Yeah.
This is why people come to Arrowhead Addict. 5 minutes of Todd Haley discourse in costumes. Where else can you get that, guys?
Yeah,
Come
you're
on.
not getting it. You're not getting it.
Talk about spooky.
Where'd you get all this?
Why does he only get? Why is he the only one who has these toys?
Right. I want.
I know. I want the go to bed Sterling.
You guys, I had to buy this. It was way too much money, but now I can do all these random things.
We all need to get our own version so we can fight back. A little bit.
I don't know. This is kind of fun. I'm learning.
That voice sounds like the ooh yeah voice. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. There it is.
That's it.
It's perfect. That's amazing. All right, let's get to some more scary good and scary bad Chiefs. Matt Connor, you give us Travis Kelce as your scary good. Who's your scary bad?
I got to go Mike McGlynn. It was the year was 2014. Left tackle, Eric Fisher. And next to him, for one season, a man whose body was shaped like a New York subway turnstile, who gave way faster than the opening lid of an Oreos in my house. Mike McGlynn, he might as well have left a note on the desk that said out for the rest of the afternoon there at left tackle, because then at least opposing pass rushers could have slipped on the note on their way to the quarterback. Mike McGlynn may be the worst single professional athlete I've ever watched do anything in my life for any length of time. Like, it's one thing if you get a spot start in the majors and whatever, or you you throw a third of an inning of relief or whatever. Mike McGlynn started a full season at left guard on a team that made the postseason. And I'm just telling you, man, I would have fared better if I faced backwards and just concentrated on only doing my lame Fat Albert Patrick Mahomes voice for all 60 minutes on the field. I would have fared better and gotten more in the way than Mike McGlynn did that season. They quickly solved the problem after that and moved on. But the fact they left him out there for that long, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember, but literally every week in 2014, every Chiefs fan I remember was going, get Mike McGlynn the beep, 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 out of there. I mean, it was profanity. As exciting as that team was, because it was Andy Reid's second year, and it was good times to be there. Mike McGlynn was the source of. Screw you, Mike McGlynn. If you're out there right now, Mike McGlynn, if you're listening,
you can make it personal.
Screw
now.
you. No. I hope you don't make your home. I hope you don't make your home in Kansas. I hope you don't make your home anywhere, Mike McGlynn. I hope you go wherever there's no football to be played, and I hope that you set up your home there, and then wherever, northern Idaho, where no one ever wants to go. Go do your thing, Mike McGlynn. But reminding us of it, I'm done. Sorry, I'm done.
He was ranked by PFF as the worst guard in football.
Yes.
Yeah, dead last.
Yes. Dead last, which is scary. Last.
It's giving me flashbacks. You remember when the Chiefs, this is around the time when they imported the interior of the Dolphins offensive line, a bunch of cast off. The Chiefs offensive line was bad. And so the Dolphins had a bunch of bad linemen that they got rid of. The Chiefs just imported them. These are the kinds of moves that this team made back then.
Well, the Chiefs did it with the Browns cast offs, and then it worked.
Yeah. Before we get to more scary players, let's talk a little bit about Underdog. It's the place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. With over 5 million happy players and 2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performance. Compete against players just by selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn every touchdown into a win with Underdog. as I said, it's the best place to cash in on all your takes on how players are going to do, which player is going to go off, who's ice cold. Just put your entry in with a few taps. And they've got this great feature, vulture protection, which happens to us a lot in fantasy football. If you select a designated running back to score a touchdown for your pick'em entry and then they get vultured, they're going to rescue your entry. So you're good to go. You can join 5 million fans that are already playing on Underdog with their champs games. You can win money by just making entries on your favorite players. So look, last week I had a 4-legger. I asked you guys if you wanted to trail me. I was 3 for 4. I'm sorry. The Chiefs let me down a little bit. I had Kareem Hunt higher than 66.5 rushing yards. He came in like 7 yards under that. But then I was right with my other 3. DeAndre Hopkins lower than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. Brock Bowers lower than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. So it just didn't work out. But it was a lot of fun. And I hope you guys got in on the action. So just select higher or lower on your favorite player and cash in on Underdog. You got to be 18 or older, 19 and older in Alabama or Nebraska, 19 and older in Colorado for some games, 21 and older in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York to 467-369. All right. As scary as all those phone numbers were, let's get back to talking about some scary Chiefs. And Sterling, why don't you give us your scary good Chief?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with the offensive line. I love giving the big boys up front some credit. Okay. I know we've ripped on a couple. I'm looking at you, Mike, looking at you, Cam. Mitchell Schwartz, though. Mitchell Schwartz, I still think is not getting enough love. I know we got a lot of love here in KC, but I don't think people realize just how good Mitchell Schwartz really was. Just a nightmare. Whoever, like Max Crosby, would have been shut down. Anyone, doesn't matter who you are, you could have been the best edge rusher in the NFL. Schwartz was going to stop you and shut you down. He made Eric Fisher look bad. And that's not a knock on Eric Fisher. Eric Fisher was a pretty darn good left tackle, right? I think we can all agree now. And as his career has unfolded and ended, we can all agree Eric Fisher was a pretty good left tackle. But everyone's like, well, he's not Mitchell Schwartz. And we look back now and go, because no one is. No one was. Mitchell Schwartz was just that damn good. He was so scary good. He needs more credit. Here's to you. I don't have a beer in my hand. He had
the Iron Man streak too. I mean, not only was he a lockdown, he was always on the field until there late in his career when he started having the back issues. Peak Mitchell Schwartz was one of the best right tackles ever. Like he was, you couldn't get by him.
I think my favorite thing
right
about
tackle.
Sorry. I think my favorite thing about Mitch Schwartz too as a player is like he's the type of guy that you can point to your kids whenever they're young and say like, hey, this guy here, he's not a guy who had all the talent in the world. Well, obviously he's an NFL player. He's very talented, but he wasn't the longest. He wasn't the most athletic. He wasn't the strongest, but he was just a technique monster and a tape grinder. And he will even go, he does a lot of media stuff now, and he'll even tell you that he wasn't the most physically gifted player, but his technique was just super solid, super repeatable. And he was a student of the game. And that's what made him such a great Chief. And he was so key in the first first Super Bowl win. Him just being a set it and forget it right tackle, shutting down some really good pass rushers all along the way to winning that Super Bowl. I just wish his back would have held up longer than it did. He went from, being a blue chip player on the team to like off the team so quickly. And it stunk to see it go that way. But I'm glad he's still a facet in Kansas City here.
That's how good Mitchell Schwartz was, that you have him on the right and you have the former number 1 overall pick on the left. And the 49ers like, you know what, Nick Bosa, why don't you go take on the former number 1 overall pick, because you're not going to be able to mess with that guy on the right because he's the best right tackle in the league. And I think there's an argument that he was the best right tackle in the league for 2-3 years. And anytime you're the best player at what you do in the entire National Football League, that's a guy who I think if he would have played longer, if he was still the right tackle in this team and he had all these rings, he'd be going to Canton, guys.
Yeah.
And to sign him as a true free agent. I almost said that, he's one of the best free agent acquisitions the Chiefs have ever had. But then I remembered like Joe Tooney is right up there too. So if the Chiefs are signing you to a free agent offensive line deal here recently, it's a good deal. They've found some real value there with those two guys, handing out contracts to those guys that have been worth every penny.
Adam, I think you make such a great point, man. I thought he was going to the Hall of Fame, and then the injuries cropped up because he was that stellar. And remember, he wasn't making Pro Bowls. That was him, right? He wasn't making Pro Bowls, but he was making first team All Pros.
Correct. Yeah, he made the All Pro, but he's never made it to a Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
and Fisher did.
Yeah, name recognition, right? Like first overall pick, and Mitch was good when he was in Cleveland. Like he was good in Cleveland, just on bad teams. So it's a shame. I don't think he's got a shot to get into Canton, because of the whole longevity thing. Although I make this argument, this is the same argument that I make for Jamal Charles. I think if somebody is the absolute best, one of the absolute best you've ever seen for like a long enough period of time, and I don't know what that period of time should be, but I don't think you should have to play for 10 years. Like to be like, because a lot of guys, like they're maybe great for like 3 or 4 years, but then they play a really long time and they're just okay. And they're like, oh, look at all these stats. Look at this career. Jamal Charles is one of the best running backs I have ever seen, period. I think he was the best running back I've ever seen for enough years that he should go in the Hall of Fame. And I think you can make the same argument for Mitchell Schwartz.
This is the Gronk Kelsey argument, right? Player peak versus longevity, right? Kelsey's done it better for longer, but Gronk at his peak might have been like the best we've ever seen a tight end be. It's a frequent fallacy that NFL fans fall into, or sports fans.
I don't get it. Gale Sayers played 7 years, basically 5, because the last 2 seasons he played 2 games. So I'm sorry,
Terrell Davis.
Terrell Davis is such a modern great argument. Thank you, Best. Everyone goes to Gale Sayers, and he played 7. He played 5. Like that'd be like counting Jamal Charles's year in Denver and year in Jacksonville. Like no one looks at that. Gale Sayers played 5. Terrell Davis played, what was it, 7? Terrell Davis, it was something along the lines. Like I don't get it when those guys are in the Hall of Fame, and everyone's going to point to Terrell Davis because of the Super Bowl, correct? I get that,
rings,
but like
he got rings.
He played 7 years. And again, he basically played 4. The last 3, he played 4 games, 5 games, and 8 games. Like, what are we doing here?
Overemphasizing rings in a team sport. That's what we're doing. We're overemphasizing rings, which, I mean, put Jamal Charles on that 98-99 Denver Broncos team and see what happens. It would be electric, right?
Yeah, blaming Jamal for not playing with Peyton Manning or Tom Brady is just, it's ridiculous. I feel like the rings argument should be, it's like the sweetener. It's the deal sealer, right? It shouldn't be the only metric by which you're judging these people. And sure, like I get it. You know, where do you draw the line? Like how long is long enough? You're not going to put somebody in the Hall of Fame because they have one great game or maybe even one great season. But I think I don't know, man, 3 years. Like if you're an NFL player for 3 years and you're that good, you're one of the best we've ever seen. That's the whole point. It's the Hall of Fame. It's supposed to be the best players to have ever played the game. It's not the Hall of Longevity. It's the Hall of Fame. And I think both Mitch and Jamal Charles clear that bar for me of, oh yeah, like this player at their peak is an all-time great, and they played long enough for me to get a bust. But
anyone who saw Jamal Charles play versus like Frank Gore, who's going to get in because he had like consecutive seasons of 700 yards times 30 years or something. Mm-hmm. There's no contest there on who is the better player when they played.
Yeah,
Frank Gore played so long he almost played with his son. Absurd.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right. Let's keep it moving here. Let's do another scary one, and let's go to me. We actually have the honor of having this gentleman with us here today, Kadarius Toney, old brick hands Kadarius Toney. When I think, and look, I covered the Chiefs through one of the worst eras. I mean, there's so many guys I wanted to put on this list. shabby, sabby Piscatelli, Frankie Hammond Jr., who just terrified you every time he was back there to receive a kick because, even if he didn't actually fumble it, he tried to fumble it. There's Donald Stevenson, who I already mentioned.
Sacintosh.
Broyle. Yeah, Damian Sacintosh. Absolutely terrible players. Just bad. The end of oh God, what's his face? The safety. Dirty Dan, the end of Dirty Dan's career. I mean, like, I love Dirty Dan. I think he's a great chief, but like those last couple years there, like anytime anybody threw the ball deep, you were absolutely terrified. So there's so many guys that could be on this list, but Kadarius Toney,
Bob Sutton,
Bob Sutton, yeah. But Kadarius Toney, pound for pound, and it's crazy because we won a Super Bowl because of this guy. Like, I'll never forget the fact that Kadarius Toney had one of the most important plays in a Chiefs Super Bowl. But like, on the whole, I've never been more terrified about a player being out on the field as I was with Kadarius Toney last season. To actually be a net negative in that way, to where when you throw the ball to him, something horrible is going to happen. For him to have wiped away this all-time great Chiefs victory, what it would have been a victory over the Bills, and an all-time great play for an all-time great player in Travis Kelce. I actually think, everybody got on Mahomes because he was so mad and he was yelling at the refs after Kadarius Toney lined up off sides on that play last year. I honestly think what really caused Mahomes to lose his shit wasn't that, the Chiefs lost to the Bills, the regular season game of the Bills. It was that play got taken away from Travis Kelce. He's such a great teammate. He loves Travis Kelce so much. He was so furious and he couldn't take it out on Kadarius Toney. And this is a guy who already had to sit there and watch his Super Bowl hopes get drown away because Dee Ford didn't know where to line up. So he's dealing with trauma already in that situation. Kadarius Toney, what a complete and utter disaster he became for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know why. I don't know what happened to him. I think he's more talented than what he showed, but I don't know if it's a mental thing. One of the most terrifying Chiefs I can imagine being on the field.
What's with this look too? Like, it looks like I'm going to fertilize an egg or something, or I'm a knight looking for the Holy Grail. I don't understand what these things are.
You look like the guy, the neighbor from The Big Lebowski, who does a cycle.
Oh yeah, Lebowski
with the big scissors, right?
The big scissors, yeah.
We cut off your Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't get it. Kadarius Toney, just what a nightmare player for the Chiefs. And he's on the Browns practice squad now? Is he still there?
Imagine him hanging out with him and Jameis for like an hour.
I would love to hang out with Jameis Winston. I would pay an absurd amount of money just to hear him say words, just to hear the nonsense that it becomes so electric, just spew out of his mouth. Jameis Winston is an American hero. I mean, seriously, if you heard him in this pregame thing, he's talking about how he's like, don't just play for the name on the back, play for the decal on your helmet. Oh, wait, we don't have decals, but you know what I'm saying? Play for the Browns. Like that.
And then he quoted Eminem.
He butchered it too. He goes, I got one of my favorite white guys out there in Detroit, and he would say, you only get one chance. It's just an incredible display of awesomeness from Jameis Winston. His speech is.
Didn't he get busted for stealing crab legs from a supermarket in college?
Oh yeah,
that was allegedly. I don't know.
Yeah, that was like part of his draft profile, like character questions and stuff because of that.
Oh, I mean,
that's going to be an incredible, now the thing is whenever you retire as a player, you get a podcast. The Jameis Winston podcast is going to do numbers whenever it comes out. Cause I feel like a lot of players, there's kind of this wall that doesn't go unbroken as far as like what happens in the locker room. I feel like he'll be the type of person to be like, oh yeah, this guy, Drew Brees, real jerk. Hated him, couldn't stand him.
Whoa! Don't take a shot on Drew now. Come on,
who, I was just using a player he's played with.
Don't go hating on Drew Brees now.
That's right. He did stand loyally by Deshaun Watson. He did come to his maybe not.
Jesus.
I think Jameis has the worst case of main character syndrome I've ever seen. I mean, there is not a situation he could be in a room with Patrick Mahomes and think he's the most important guy in that room.
Well, because he is. Have you heard him talk? He is the most important. It's amazing.
he talks like he's always giving a movie line. You know,
Yes.
he's always on.
Dude,
Hey,
his Mike Evans quote was incredible. He was like, "What?" He's like, Mike Evans. He's that dog. He's from Galveston. You know about Galveston? Well, I don't really know because I've never been to Galveston. But he's close to bodies of water. He's close to a body of water. So he'd come from that muck. And I'm like, what does this even mean? I have no idea, Jameis, but I love it.
It's we should all be big Jameis fans right now, but because of Jameis Winston, the Browns beat the Ravens over the weekend, knocked the Ravens down a peg, and now the 1 seed is very, very far away from Lamar and company's grasp. So we probably won't be going back to Baltimore here in the playoffs, but we may see them. All right, let's get to our last one here. Price, you're up, man. Your scary bad Chief.
My scary bad Chief, a specific memory, but a guy that just, it felt like only bad things happened when he was targeted on the field. Probably the best example I've had of like one corner can make your whole defense bad, and that's Philip Gaines. Frequently used meme template on the internet. Philip Gaines against the Denver Broncos back when Peyton Manning was a part of that massive offensive output for the Denver Broncos. I think that was like 2013 or 14. The infamous stat, I think it was like 8 for 6 for 209 yards and 2 touchdowns when targeted. Philip Gaines was in the NFL for 7 years plus. 1 career interception. How is it even possible to be playing corner for that long and only have 1 interception? He was just a quarterback's best friend. This was before PFF was really a thing, but I would have loved to see the PFF metrics on passer rating when targeted. He was just a guy that was just the ultimate symptom of the weakness that was the Chiefs defense there for so long. And the Chiefs, they have a long history of developing pretty good corners. And Philip Gaines was just not the guy. And like I said, he had a way of like single-handedly making quarterbacks elite. And it seemed like anytime he was on the field, the quarterback was looking right his way.
Yeah, and he didn't not get those interceptions because the quarterbacks were avoiding him. You could make the argument that Gaines, he was aptly named because it was big gains for the opposing offense when they threw his way.
Yeah, it was rough. By the way, I wanted to my ref uniform here. I want to talk about it for a second. I've been told that this is the only reason why the Chiefs are good, right? Have you seen the videos on TikTok or Instagram Reels or whatever where it's like the refs glazing Mahomes or the announcers glazing Mahomes? Have you seen these videos?
No.
Oh, they're great. They're like AI modified, so it's like Chris Collinsworth. He's like, boy, Mahomes sure does look cute in that little outfit. Oh, look at him go! Wow, no one can throw an incomplete pass like Patrick Mahomes. Or my favorite is the refs that are like personal foul, invading Patrick Mahomes' personal space, 99-yard penalty, 15 points. Hail Taylor Swift, touchdown. And that's my inspiration behind my costume because, that's the only reason, like, what have the Chiefs won? They've won like 13 consecutive games, undefeated. That's the only way is the refs, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. You can't literally any piece of Chiefs content now that you see on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, literally you can't make it three comments into the comment section without seeing somebody be like, and the refs. They've reached a saturation point where we made it when everybody's complaining about the NFL rigging it for Kansas City, when they start calling Patrick Mahomes the golden boy. It actually makes me want like the three-peat more than just as I want to see the Chiefs succeed because I'm a Chiefs fan. I think it's more about spite now for me. Like I want them to win the three-peat out of spite. I just want to see the collective NFL fan bases lose their minds if the Chiefs, if Mahomes has a bad season statistically, which he's on his way to, and then they just win the Super Bowl again anyway, and it's third in a row, and they're preparing his bus for Canton. Like I just want to watch all these people melt down over and over again. It's sort of satisfying. Well,
the best thing about it too is like, it's just not consistent, right? Like the Chiefs have played 3 or 4 games in a row here. The New Orleans game, San Francisco Raiders game, where the refs really haven't been a story at all. and no one's really talking about it. But here in a couple of weeks, they'll play a primetime game, and the Chiefs will get a call, and everyone will forget like every bad call that might have went against Kansas City, and then it's instantly at the center front of the topic again. And here we are talking about it. But then you sit there and you watch the Fox broadcast of Tom Brady and the 12 Tom Brady commercials, that weird one where he's like, with the Michigan version of himself and the Tampa version, no one's sitting there and like, oh, Tom Brady got helped by the refs. Even though we all know, us as Kansas Cityans, we said those things back when Tom Brady was the quarterback and that he was the golden boy. No one remembers that stuff anymore. So as you bring it up, it's just a narrative right now that'll go away. But it is so funny just to see how it's a swinging pendulum that it only matters when it fits someone's narrative, and then we just drop it when it doesn't fit the narrative.
Hey, Patrick, not Alan, Patrick Mahomes. How are you been, throwing so many interceptions? I feel like you're getting a little unlucky there, Pat. How are you going to turn it around?
I ain't even worried about it, guys. I ain't even worried about my stats no more. I broke so many records. I'm out here just for the team things.
How's it feel to no longer have
team things, guys?
How's it feel to no longer have? Well, it's kind of crazy that we actually have MVS and Patrick Mahomes in the same room together. Mahomes, anything you want to say to Kadarius Toney?
You said MVS.
Sorry, Patrick. Anything you want to say to Kadarius Toney?
Knocking my boy MVS down there. Bricks. Nah, I got nothing but love. I got nothing but love for all these players. All the guys have been with me. I love them. I love every one of them.
Thank you, Fat Albert. And Kadarius, anything you want to say to Patrick? This is a Thanksgiving almost episode where we're squashing the beef here. Kadarius, brick hands, anything you want to say to QB1?
I wish I was born with different anatomy, different limbs.
Oh, brother, come on.
That's all I got. I do have my scary good left though. So let's just.
Oh, you do? Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Before we digress too much.
And speaking of different anatomy, I think Travis Kelce's hosting a news show about people getting different kinds of anatomies coming up on Fox.
Oh, and Chris Jones is doing the full Monty, right? Have you guys seen that?
No.
It's like he's like stripping with a bunch of other celebrities for charity.
What is happening? What does this show come to?
I have no idea what we're talking about. You said Chris Jones's anatomy, and I was just thinking about the 40-yard dash. But
why are you guys?
He's doing this thing.
Stanford route.
It's a Fox special where him and like James Vanderbeek and a bunch of other dudes are doing the thing from the Full Monty movie. And they like take off their clothes on stage for charity. It's a thing. I saw a commercial.
Hold on. I'm searching Chris Jones stripping. Let's see what Google says.
Oh no.
All right. But let's drop trow on this show and get out of here.
Back to the scary really quick. Scary good. Derek Thomas. What could possibly be scarier for an offensive coordinator, a quarterback, and a head coach than 7 sacks in one game? Maybe the scariest defensive performance in NFL history, and an honorable mention because I just can't believe he hasn't been mentioned here for scary bad. Ryan Sims, he deserves all the strays here.
Yeah, Junior Seavi.
I mean Ryan Sims and Tyson Jackson because of where they were picked.
Dorsey,
yeah, Glenn Dorsey.
Tyson, you remember the discourse around Tyson Jackson where it was just like people were like, he's playing the run. He's not supposed to get sacks. Like there were these Chiefs fans that were defending that guy forever. What about the corpse of Ty Law? When we got the corpse of Ty Law after Jason Whitlock campaigned for him for years, he was the missing piece to a Super Bowl.
Orlando Scandrick.
I have 2 Ty Law jerseys in Chiefs gear, by the way.
Oh no.
Will Svitek?
Yeah.
That's a deep pull right there.
That's the best. That's the best. Dude, you just got real good here. You just got real good.
I think Bob Sutton might be the scariest dude. Like it's
Bob's early years.
Okay. I get it, but like
he fielded like multiple top 10 defenses. I just ruined your voiceover. Sorry.
D Ford's offsides that's up there.
Terrifying moments. What about when the Chiefs got Kendrell Bell from the Steelers? That was going to be the missing piece.
I thought that was gonna do
Steelers,
it.
man. Honestly, just Steelers. Because like the no touchdown game, they didn't score a touchdown. The Chiefs still lose.
God, there's so many. Mike Cloud. Or Mike Cloud.
Oh, I remember Mike Cloud. John Baldwin's couple games.
Oh, I thought we were going to go there.
The best
We
catch that
start
never
doing
was.
receivers.
The best
Yeah.
catch that never was, though, was John Baldwin when he caught it behind a guy, but it didn't matter because we're like a holding call.
We aren't even scared anymore. Now we're just like naming names from
Yeah.
old football cards.
No, these were scary. These were scary people.
What we were told Dexter McCluster was going to be versus the Dexter McCluster we got. And then running it back with DeAnthony Thomas.
I was going to say
I can't remember who went first. Like who was first? DeAnthony. It's like a chicken or the egg.
Yeah.
McCluster or the egg. It's like McCluster.
McCluster screen bubbled so DeAnthony Thomas could screen bubble.
Devin Wiley, would he screen bubble?
Oh yeah.
4th rounder Devin Wiley. Come on.
Well, I think we've reached the end of the road here.
What about the way LaShawn McCoy used to carry the football? I mean, that was pretty
like a loaf of bread?
right?
Oh, that was terrifying.
Yeah. Like he's carrying his purse, just running.
He was actually good the first part of that season. Like I was stumbling across those stats, looking up something the other day. And like, I think there was like first 4, 5, 6 games in Kansas City. He had like over 325 yards, several touchdowns. A key screen pass to seal the game against the Ravens here in Arrowhead in 2019. He was actually really effective, and like they just binged him for the way he was carrying that ball.
Le'Veon Bell, on the other hand.
I will never forget the dopamine that I got when Le'Veon Bell came to Kansas City. I was sure that this was it. This was the final form of this offense. Thanos getting the final thing in the Infinity Gauntlet. Oh,
Le'Veon Bell?
Yeah, because I mean, man, at that point you just told yourself like, oh, it's because he was on the Jets and they're terrible. You find the 2 or 3 plays that he did good in a Jets uniform. Like this is the version they're getting, and it was nothing. Dude was cooked.
Brutal. It was brutal. He was cooked. But you know who isn't cooked? DeAndre Hopkins, who looks like he's going to eat in this Kansas City offense. I'm so excited. I was watching somebody put out some clips of him today, of like all his routes. And when he wasn't getting the ball, he was open on almost all of them. So when he and Pat get on the same page, look out. It's going to be scary for the rest of the NFL. Everybody, listen, thanks for putting up with our foolishness, not just today, but on all of our shows. We really appreciate you. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully you enjoyed it and had some fun in the comments, kicking out some of your scariest Chiefs players of all time. I really appreciate everybody doing this. Have a wonderful Halloween, everybody. Be safe out there. Be careful. Make sure you open up the candy, look out for razor blades, all that stuff. Don't wear, if you're wearing your Chiefs gear, you're going as Patrick Mahomes, be careful if you go to a Raiders fan house, you don't want to get poisoned, all that stuff. So enjoy your Halloween. Thank you to Adam Best, Sterling Holmes, Price Carter, Patrick Mahomes, Matt Connor, for all the fun on today's show. And of course, producer Richard for making it happen. And this will premiere on YouTube. So we'll see you guys on our pregame show, because I think this will be the last. Do we have an Intangibles on Friday this week?
We should. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So you got the Intangibles tomorrow with Price, and then we'll be back on Monday for our pregame and postgame show and halftime show, of course, for Chiefs at Bucks. We'll see you guys on tomorrow on the Intangibles. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.